Hey everyone, my name is Marisa Maggio and welcome to the FFL Solidity podcast, episode 12. Super excited. We have a very special guest with us today, Miss Valerie Stewart. And Miss Valerie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for being willing to be on and willing to kind of pour into everybody and help out today. But with that being said, Val, let's jump right into it. If you don't mind, just telling us a little bit of a background about yourself and kind of what got you into the insurance industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been doing this with FFL for, I would say, a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer than that. It's been end of March of 2021 is when I started. Prior to that practice company, I was there this September before that. Did the door knock thing, the cold calls, the no leads or no warm leads, right? For a minute, and then I had an injury, and so then I was just doing it strictly over the phone until I could get out in the field again and do those door knocks. And FFL kind of just came into our lap through social media, Facebook. My husband, Eric, had clicked on the link, I guess, and learned a little bit more about it, and was like, hey, let's try this. And I was like, okay, like warm leads, I'm done. Like, sign me up.
Right. Like, where do I go?
Yep. Where do I go? Like, I don't like this door knocking stuff. So, so we kind of just, already had my accident in health license because I was doing supplemental insurance. And so then I just had to get my life license, which I'd already, done the course and everything. But if I hadn't, then obviously like FFL, they'll pay for the courses, and you just have to pay for licensing. So it was pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and kind of just jumped in with 2 feet, and here we are.
Awesome, I love it. And Valerie, being able to kind of work with you, the past year and a half or so, it's been amazing because I feel like you're really like a true student of the business. And it's not something that's forced to you, it's something that you just respect and understand. So I guess one thing I want to ask you just right from the jump is, what would you suggest to a new agent in terms of plugging in, connecting, or maybe an agent that's not really seeing the success that they want to see and might not be utilizing all of their resources around them, so to say?
Yeah, well, the schedule goes out every week. And if you can't find it, then ask anybody. They'll point you in the right direction of the different Monday morning wake up and the different podcasts or YouTube. I mean, that was a big one. Like, you don't have to wait for these specific times for these podcasts to happen, these trainings to happen. Like, go to YouTube, search door knocks if you suck at that, or dialing and all that. Have your scripts. If you don't have a script, you can find a script. Ask me for a script, I'll give you a script. I mean, it's just reaching out to those that that you see their names all the time, right? We're all here to help each other. This isn't a competition. And if you've been with a different company before that, it was a competition. This is not a competition. We are in it together. And, we're just here to just make our mark and protect those people and make sure that they're not, put into products that, aren't the best for them. And so just plug it in and, make time. If you need to schedule it in your schedule, then schedule it in your schedule. And everything's recorded. Like, you can go back and watch the recording if you missed it. Plug into your team trainings, your team calls. There's new agent calls. There's new agent trainings. Like, if you have a question, like if you don't know where to find it, just reach out to anybody. They'll point you in the right direction.
Absolutely, and that's huge. I love how you were if you worked at another company, you might be used to sort of an arena of competition. I know that in my practice companies, I was. But I love how you said that, FFL, it's a it's a fair playing ground, right? Everybody's going to get the same information. I'm not going to withhold anything from you. You're not going to withhold anything from me. That's going to help me grow, myself and my business here. So that's a huge point that I love how you're call me, call anyone, right? Just get the information that you need. And also that everything's recorded. right? Like you choose
It really is.
university, right?
Yes.
I know that was a big one for me, and it still is. And when I'm driving, that's what I'm watching. I'm listening back to a podcast that maybe dropped a year ago, but it's going to bring me back somewhere, so to say. So I love that. And one other thing, Valerie, I'd like you to hit on is, I guess, ever since the first day I ever spoke with you on the phone, I'll never forget it because I felt like I knew you. Like I felt like I was like, oh, I know her. That's my friend, right? Which is great. But at the same time, I was like, that's not something that every person can really carry, so to say. And I feel like you have this attitude of almost like, I'm not bothered by the fact if someone tells me no. I'm not bothered by the fact that I might have to make 500 dials this session. You just get to work and do it, right? With that being said, what is your mindset kind of around that?
Well, it's, I mean, I've been around, I mean, I'm not young. So, I mean, I've been around different industries and everything. And it's, you can't take things too personal, right? Just, okay, I got to get 15 appointments at a very minimum, right? Like if you don't feel comfortable with a booked appointment, and you're like, I really kind of feel like this person's going to no-show me, no-show them, right? Like book as many as you can and be running behind. And if you no-show them, hey, like, I'm so sorry, or you get to them late, all that. But it's better to be, too busy than not busy enough. And so it's just like having that, like just telling yourself like, hey, I'm going to do this. And if I don't get these appointments, okay, let's, and hey, like, don't get me wrong, like it hasn't always been that way for me, right? Like, okay, cool, I got 8 appointments, awesome. But then you got to like, okay, something's got to change here, right? So you just have to be willing to like say, this is non-negotiable. Like I'm going to be here until 8, 9 o'clock at night, or I'm going to make sure I make, 500, 600 dials or 75 no's, whatever you want to do, right? To get those 15 and put everything that you can into it. And if you don't get 15, then you can't be mad at yourself because you tried, right? But just, you'll get better. You will get better. As long as you put the time in, you'll get better. It's a numbers game. You could go have 7 appointments in a day and have a 0 day and get no showed on all of them. God forbid. It's terrible. It's happened. We've all been there. We've all been there, right? But you're like, okay, so when I booked these appointments, how did I feel when I got done with them? Like, did I feel like that was way too easy? I mean, there is something to be said about if it's super easy book, but if you fought for it and you've overcome the objectives, right? Like, okay, that's going to be the one that stands. I mean, that's my experience. I don't know about you, Marisa, but
That's my favorite appointment right there.
It really is. Like you feel real good about that appointment. And then you can give them crap about it when you get there too, because then it's just a little bit rapport. Like, you didn't want to see me and here I am. Like, and I'll be the first to tell you, if you are in a good product and have a good premium for what you are needing and what you're looking for, I will dip. Like, but let's look it over together, right? Because I'm not going to put you in a worse spot that you are than you're in. And people respect that. And I usually get, phone calls from family members after that to have appointments and, or referrals. And so it's just like, I'm not here for, and I tell them, if anybody's listening to my, me on the dial team, I'll tell people I'm not a salesperson.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. I'm here to make sure that you're in a good spot and that you're not overpaying for something.
And I think that alone says a lot. Like, like I'm not a salesperson because that's your perception too, like of yourself. I see myself the same way. I don't look at myself like I'm in insurance sales and I'm the sales lady, right? I look at myself like I'm the field underwriter. I'm going to show them what they qualify for. Like you said, if they're in the best position, I'm going to let them know. If they're not, I'm going to go through it and explain it or go through a product that might, solve their problem, right? So that's huge. And I feel like, Valerie, you've always had like this heart to serve the client. And that's really important because we can care about the commissions and we can care about that, but at the end of the day, that's gonna fade out if you don't care about the families, right? And I feel like we do a really good job of connecting with the family, even just how you joked about, you said, usually those appointments that are harder to set, that you're getting the objections and you're rebuttaling back, those are usually the best ones, right? But at the same time, it's like those are the ones you have to fight for, and then you walk in and you're giving them a little bit of, crap, so to say, just messing with them, building some happy rapport. But that shows you can connect with people, at an easier level, or you're finding a level playing ground, right?
Right.
And that's really important. So like, what are some tips you might give to somebody who maybe is struggling with that, or maybe is just like nervous to go into a house because they don't know what to expect?
Oh, that's a really good question.
There's a
Ooh.
lot of questions in one, but I'll kind
Yeah,
of.
a lot of questions in one. So just know that you don't need to know everything. I mean, first and foremost, you don't need to know everything. Like, go over your applications of your, 3 to 4 companies that you start with, like, because you don't need to overthink this. Okay. You don't need to know the product in and out. You just need to go through the financial inventory sheet as it's laid out in front of you. And if you don't know how to do that, look up a YouTube video, you'll find one. Like, it's, I mean, it's out there. Find who you like the best. Like, there's multiple ones out there. And go through it that way. And okay, this is what they've got. These are the conditions. This is medications. All right. This is what I say. If I don't know, I think I have an idea, but I'm just going to double check with my senior field underwriter, make sure that I'm going in the direction that I think that we should be going. What's the best one for you? So, I'm just going to give her a call real fast. And they're like, yeah, please do. Right. And so then I call Christina or Marisa, and if I don't, then there's the in-home number. And if you don't know that, we'll get it to you. Just reach out to us for the in-home help, or go into Slack and you have the underwriting genie. Like, there's different avenues that can help you with that. And they'll tell you, hey, you should be good here. If that doesn't work, then you can pivot to here. Okay. And then, it also shows them like, hey, like, I'm not afraid to admit if I don't know all the answers. Like, I'm just here. I think I know where I'm going, but I want to make sure that it's the right one. It's the best one. Because then they appreciate that, right? And they respect that. Okay, right. But you also have little conversations with them while you're going through it, right? Like, hey, you got kids because you're finding out beneficiaries, right? Oh, is that your kid, grandkids? Like, how many you got? Like, are they here local? Oh, hey, I got 3 kids, and except mine aren't grown like yours, but so you just have a conversation with them. It's not telling them, like, you don't need to tell them your blood type or anything. You don't need to get that deep, but just be a person. Don't, like, you got to have, be conversational. Don't be nervous. Like, yes, the first house is, it's nervous, but you'll get better and you'll get more comfortable. And if you come up rolling up to a house and you have that gut feeling like you're not that comfortable, like you're unsafe, bye. Like,
Yeah.
because it happens, right? Like, we help all different walks of life and different, financial levels and all that. And you just, you listen to yourself, but you can, 99.99% of the time, like, everybody's fine. They just can't, don't help with where they live and all that stuff. But anyway, and you just, converse with them, have a conversation.
Exactly. And Valerie, what I've been kind of hearing like the whole time too is like, you simplify this process. You're like, if not, go on YouTube and look this up, right? Because we know it's all there and it's all laid out. And once I feel like in this business you can become somewhat self-sufficient, so to say, it's gonna serve you so well. It's not like I'm like, hey Valerie, look up this YouTube video because I want to be lazy and not help you, right? It's like, hey Valerie, look up this YouTube video because not only can you hear it once, you can hear it twice, 3 times, and you can also find a training from somebody who fits your personality that might be a little bit different than mine, right? So YouTube University all day. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. And also, like, find an event by you.
Yeah.
Like, these sales trainings, they're huge. Like, I'm in Kansas City. We have them every once in a while, but I came out to the Boston area, and, met you guys and, spoke and, learned a lot from a lot of people that you wouldn't otherwise if I wouldn't otherwise if I hadn't gone, go to convention, like, spend the money, all you can write it off. Like, it's the business expense. Go, you're going to learn so much. Take notes. Like, and we don't, like, you don't say, hey, go to YouTube just because I don't want to teach you, but that's exactly where I went. Right? Like, we all went through the boot camp, and all those videos you watched in the boot camp, you can find them on YouTube. Like, they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it's not that we don't want to help you. It's just, that's where it's at. Like, that's how I learned,
yeah.
so go.
And that's the best way to learn too, because it's like now you have control over what you're doing, not somebody else is like puppeting you, right? Like now you only know this because I've only been able to teach you a final expense that you're able to just dive in at your own pace. So that's what I love about this industry too. But Valerie, you're really plugged in, and I know we kind of hit on this a little bit, but in terms of like if you take it back, like probably like 6 months or so, correct me if I'm wrong on that, when we started doing like more of a dial team schedule, you've been really regimented. You've been like plugged in, you take the dial team extremely like serious, as do I. And the people on there are usually winning. How has that impacted you in your business in a positive, or how has it impacted your business in general?
Well, I mean, where does it all start, right? The phones and getting on the dial team, and whether you unmute yourself for other people to hear you, which I highly recommend. And if you've ever listened to me before, you're going to hear me say it again, like unmute yourself. Like, I don't care if it's my dial session or not. Like, unmute yourself. If you want us to hear you, just unmute yourself. Like, you don't even have to say, hey, can I do this? Just do it. Just hit unmute. Like, we'll listen to you. I literally will stop talking and stop dialing for a second to listen to you and give you feedback, because I know that's what you're wanting. And that's what, hey, what am I doing wrong? But not only that, like, it's made me better on the phones, like just making me think, how do I overcome this objection? I know the answer. We all know the answers. It's just digging deep to find it. And will you always? No. Like, let's be real. Sometimes you can just hear the tone of a voice on the other side of that line where you're just like, this person is either A, super busy, or they're just not. It's like, it's not going to happen. So I'm not going to waste my time on to the next, right?
Right.
And so I try to, like, hey, like, oh, that's, they already got to, oh, that's perfect, right? Don't knock it down. Like, hey, that's great. Just so I can update this, which carrier did you go with, right? So hopefully, I don't promise anything, but hopefully we can stop you from getting phone calls. And then they're willing to talk to you. And then sometimes you turn that around and you end up getting an appointment because they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe you can make it cheaper for me, or get me something better than what I've had before. So it's just asking the questions. And, sometimes do you have to be a jerk if they're a jerk to you? Yep. Ain't nobody going to fire you. Like, they're not going to call your boss. So it just makes you better, to plug into those dial teams, listen to other people, and somebody might say something that never thought to say. That's where getting in an office helps too, right? Work spots. Hello, like, it's worth it. If you haven't done it yet, you're wrong. Like, fix it. Like, get on there. It's $99 a month. You'll save it in discounts. But just get in there, be around other people.
I love that. And even in terms of the dial team, like you said, it's like, I know for me, Valerie, that there's times that I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm on the phone with John. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to book this at this point. But it's like, I'll push and push and push on the dial team a bit more, because I want to show people, A, I also get beat up on the phone, which is a pure fact, right?
Yeah.
But B, this is also how we can overcome it. Is it going to work every time? No. But is it going to work sometimes? Yeah. And like you're saying, like, sometimes those are the best people that you sit down with, right? And I know for me, even just listening to other people on the dial team, even being in the industry for 8 years now, it's like I pick up on things and I'm like, oh, that's clever. Like, you always have these clever little things you'll throw in there that pique interest, because that's all we're trying to do on the phone is get their interest so that they can understand where we're coming from and maybe be able to put them in a better situation or before we spoke with them. So I love that. And then in terms of like your family balance, if you don't mind hitting on this a little bit, Val, what does that look like? And, I know you have, 3 kids, you're married, you're at home. Like, what does that look like for you in terms of the dynamic with work?
Yeah. So, all right. So obviously my husband, and then our oldest is a senior in high school. So she's driving and all that stuff, and she's got her activities and she's working and all that. And then there's 2 littles, elementary school. So there's times where, okay, I've got to be home, or, if Eric can't be home. And So it's just, we have a family calendar, like literally have it. There's a calendar on the wall. There's a calendar on our phones, and on the phones it's everybody's phone is connected to this calendar. So you better put your schedule in there. But there's 2 days that, specifically that Valerie can't work around. That's Mondays and Thursdays, because that's the day that we make money. Whether or not I run I can adjust my appointments for schedules, right? I'm the one that controls, to a point, when appointments get booked, but Mondays and Thursdays, you don't mess with Valerie's schedule. Like, leave mom alone. And all the kids know that. Like, oldest, she doesn't work Mondays and Thursdays, because if she's needed at home to watch her brother and sister, she's home watching her brother and sister. Right. And so we just tell her, hey, like, you can just bank on that you'll be home watching them. And then if I'm done early, cool, go do your thing, girl. Like, go have fun, get your homework done, whatever. I mean, you can do your homework when you're watching brother, sister, but anyway. But then, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Friday, Saturdays, I only do run a half a day. So I will stack Friday. Like, I will run 10, 11, sometimes 12 appointments on a Friday, and then get 4 to 6 on a Saturday. But it's morning into early afternoon. I don't usually run at night. I'll just be honest with you, but I get all my appointments in. So it's just, they work around me when it comes to Mondays and Thursdays. And then, I can adjust if there's some sort of like ball game or practice that, I have to be available for.
I love that. I think it's important, like you said, that everybody can share each other's calendar and you guys can all see each other. Because that way, as a family, like you said, they know mom's not available on Monday and Thursday. Like, they don't, anticipate seeing you until a certain time on those days. And then also during the week, you being as a mom, being able to work around that, with Eric, so that it makes sense, for both of you guys and for the kids too. So I love that. And I think that you basically, Valerie, what I love about you, and just generally speaking, is you simplify everything and you're like, it's not that deep. Like, we put it on a calendar.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
No,
it
put it on a
was
calendar. I put my appointments in the calendar with the address, so then Eric knows exactly where I'm going. So if I'm in and we have Life 360, which is a tracker. And so if I'm in one space for more than an hour and a half, he will reach out to me, be like, you good? Yep, I'm good. Like, because he knows now, right? At the beginning, sure, I could have been somewhere for an hour and a half, right? Because we're just slower when we're new. But usually I can be in and out anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes anymore. And so if I'm there longer than that, he'll reach out and be like, you good? Yep, I'm good. Right. Because obviously, like, we want to make sure that first and foremost, I'm safe. But yeah, everything's in there. I used to, like, before we had that, I used to like send him the address of like if it was an apartment, or the address if I didn't feel like I was, if I needed to, right? If it was shady, like just a shady area, I would send it to him. I wouldn't do it all the time, but now he knows exactly where I'm at all the time. And so, you just don't know. So it's just safety measures and, accountability. Cause then he'll be like, what? I thought you were supposed to be here, and why aren't you there? Just like, bro, I'm door knocking, shut up. I got no showed.
You got no shit. I hear you. So you're really able to just plug and play with the family, and everyone just kind of works together as a family to make sure it works out for everybody, right?
Yep.
And that's the beauty of it. So I love that. And then Valerie, just to kind of wrap everything up, I guess, is there anything that you would want to share with an agent out there that's maybe looking into the opportunity or looking into the industry, maybe is just getting started, or maybe is kind of going through like a period of, self-doubt? Is there anything that feedback you'd give there?
Yeah. So push through it. Like, we've all been there. Like, I know, Marisa, you don't wake up every day and being like, I want to work today, all day, every day, right? Like, there's days, like, we have our days where we're just like, bro, I just don't want to do this today, right? But it's pushing through it, get it done, like doing your thing. And it's not easy. It's not. It is hard. And if you don't have self-discipline and a drive, you are not going to succeed, because you do not have a boss. You are you, and that's it. And there's a reason why the compensation is the way that it is, because it's hard. Numbers are everything. The more dials you make, the more appointments you're going to get. The more appointments you get, the more sits you're going to get. The more sits you get, the more opportunities to protect a family. And that's how you protect yours. And that's how you make a living. And so you're going to have times where you don't feel like it, where you don't feel like you should have, had this, you should have had more success than you expected, right? Than you did have. But then it's just like, okay, I don't go like I know everybody, the week is, it's Thursday to Wednesday, right? I actually break it up into two. My week is Thursday to Saturday and Monday to Wednesday, because you reset every 3 days, as far as, okay, I had a bad dial day today and I only got such and such appointments for the next 2 days, but guess what? I get to try again on Thursday, and I get to go, Thursday, I'm going to approach it. Monday is gone. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is past. Like, there's nothing I can do to change it. So now I'm going to go into this on Thursday and I'm going to kill it. Because if you tell yourself you're going to do it and you do what you're like, what we're telling you that this is what you need to do, it will work out. It will eventually work out. You're going to have a day that it's going to just blow up and you'll be like, whoa, right? It is a roller coaster. And I'm sure you've heard it a million times and you're going to hear it a million more. But if you work and you put the time in, you put the effort in, you plug in into the trainings and you make yourself vulnerable on those dial teams, you'll see a change.
Absolutely. And you just hit on so many great nuggets there. So thank you for that, Valerie. And I think that, two of the most important things you hit on are, essentially you're independent. So if you can't stay self-disciplined, this is going to become extremely hard for you. And you're going to start blaming outside factors, right? So,
this, you can't make money. This sucks. This company, we've heard it all. We really have. And it's just like, bro, you didn't even work. These leads are terrible. You didn't even dial them. You did a half a ring and that was it. Of course they didn't pick up. Come on.
So no, and that's huge, because it's so easy to blame everything else. Like you said, the lead, the this, the that, the phone, it was the moon was shining from a 90-degree angle that night. You know what I mean? And we've heard it all, right? And essentially what it comes down to is self-discipline, and can you get to work, right? So I love the fact that you point that out. This is not easy, but it can become simple if you can just follow the process and almost trick your brain into this W-2 mindset. I had to do that for some time of, hey, if I was at a job right now and it said, you can't leave until you book 15 appointments, how quickly would I book them? And would they fire me at the end of the day, or are they going to keep me around, right? So I think that asking myself that question in my younger years was definitely helpful. And still can be helpful on those days, like you said, Valerie, that sometimes it's I don't really feel like doing this thing right now, but I got to do it anyways, right? Because I said I was going to do.
Absolutely, because it would totally be easier to go back to a W-2. Let's be real here. But then you look at, okay, compensation wise, do I really want to go work 9 hours for $100, for $150 a day? No, I don't. Right. And so it's because we've all had those days where it's just been a day, and because it's the roller coaster, right? Where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you're like, but I'm gonna, because it's just, there's nothing else like it. I'll push through it. I'll put this day behind me and tomorrow's a new day.
Yep, absolutely. And it's crazy too, because sometimes when we have those mornings, so to say, Valerie, it's those sometimes can be our best dial days. Other times they can be our not so hottest dial days. But either way, as long as we show up and we get it done, we did our best job, and that's what we have control over, right? So that's huge. And then just to kind of wrap it up, Val, what are your goals to kind of close out 2022, and your goals kind of going into 2023? What do you want that to look like?
Oh, well, that's hard. Obviously, I would love the jacket. I'm not there this year. I've got to get, I need to be, and I already know my downfalls. I need to be more diverse in my leads. I stick with CRM one-monthers really. I need to be more diverse and mix it up some more. Because they always say, right, don't get stuck on one lead type. I got stuck on one lead type. Like, let's be real here. But 20 families protected. More is better. But next year, like, really getting at it, I need to start building a team. It's just me right now. Like, I need to build a team and get out of the comfort zone. And I'm sure, like, once it starts happening and once it happens, I'll be like, well, that wasn't that bad, because that's how everything goes, right?
Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know. So then you kind of just talk yourself out of it, or, it's worse than what it actually is because you just don't know what to expect and, all that stuff. But build the team, and, protect all the families that I can protect, at least 20, more is better.
Love it. And Valerie, no doubt, closing out this year, you're going to be helping well over 20 families a month. You're already right around that range, so just super proud of what you've already done, super proud of what you're going to be doing. And no doubt when you start leading that team, like you said, just like any other change in this business, you're going to be like, wow, like, it was a learning curve, but here I am, and it became a lot easier very quickly. And it's really rewarding as well. So I'm so thankful to have you on the team. I'm really just looking forward to closing out this year and starting 2023 strong. But if somebody does want to work with you or get started with you, Valerie, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So you could email me, vstewart.ffl@gmail.com, or you can, call me, text me, 816-308-0059. Plus,
Perfect.
I'm on social media. Just look up my name, Valerie Stewart. You'll find me.
Perfect. And we're going to drop Valerie's Instagram handle right here at the bottom. So if you want to go ahead and speak with Valerie, feel free to slide in her DM about business only. But other than that, Valerie,
Facts, business only, y'all.
What was that?
I said facts, business only.
Business only.
Don't be sad. Send me some crazy emails.
It's been a pleasure having you on. It's a pleasure being in business with you. And I'm just really looking forward to wrapping up this year and going into a strong 2023. Thank you so much for being on with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.